Good evening and welcome back to another Q News video interview. My name is Michael James and I'm here with another very special guest this evening. Those of you who have been tuning in this year, and there has been a lot of you tuning in to Channel 7's reboot of The Voice Australia. Now, we saw last week the amazing Sean Miley Moore, who knocked our socks off, and this week has progressed to the final five for Team Jessica Mauboy. Now, also this week, we saw another amazing queer voice take to the stage, and her name is Penny Pettigrew. She is joining us this evening to chat about her time on The Voice Australia. Good evening, Penelope.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is an absolute pleasure, and an absolute pleasure to have another queer voice, another queer face on one of these shows, particularly one with such amazing talent. How have you enjoyed the process so far?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been like an incredible test of resilience. So very much a mind over matter experience. And like just because everyone's so amazing, and you've got to not be in your head. And just remember why you're there and just stay strong and focused.
Absolutely, because this show, like these things are no longer a competition of the amateurs, the people who are sitting at home on the couch. You're dealing with people who know how to sing. Like this stuff is cutthroat. And last year, speaking of resilience, you turned up on the show. And
Yeah.
that was an interesting experience for you. You got up there, you belted out a Sia song, and they didn't want you. How that like that experience alone must have been tough.
Yeah, it was obviously quite disappointing. It was funny because I that was at the very start of my I like being outwardly queer, bisexual. And I was still, very new to sort of exploring myself in that way, like my sexuality and also myself as an artist like that. Like just if you go back, you'll see I'm very different. I've got like flowers in my hair. I'm still like love color, obviously. But yeah, I was a very different person, and so this last year has seen a huge evolution. So at that moment, I thought I'm so ready for this, and I've been a singer all my life. I was like, I could do it. I could take it on, and then it didn't happen, and I had to really step back and take stock and but I'm always grateful for the things that they might seem to hold you back, but they teach you lessons, and I'm always looking for lessons.
I love that. And so, I mean, you must have felt you've learned a lesson because you came back for more. And not only did you come
Yeah.
back for more, you came back and you sung the exact same song again, which, I mean, that's a ballsy move. That's got to take a lot of confidence. And there must have been a lot of exploration and learning in that process to come back and be like, you know what? Same thing. Let's go again.
Yeah, I mean, I have a death wish. No, yeah, it's funny. Like it felt like the right song. So in that year, so I lost all of my gigs thanks to COVID, and my schedule was completely free. So where I'd usually be gigging 4 nights a week, I didn't have anything, and I went through like a little bit of a breakup. And my gay best friend, who was on the stage that night, cheering along beside my mum, he said, "Come out and like just have fun with me and the drag queens. This is where you belong." And so I went out, and I ended up being pulled up on stage, and I got up and I sang, and I never looked back. And that has been like sort of the rebirth of Penelope. And yeah, it's like, because I've always been known as Penny, and now it's like this, Penelope is a very different thing. And so this year I came back for so much more than just myself. I've found a beautiful family at Universal and in the queer community in Sydney, and so many people have come forward to me and said how grateful they are for me standing up for and being present for bisexuals and queer people and queer women. And I'm like, that was my lesson. That was my purpose. I found a reason to come back and to risk the reputation of being turned away again. That meant more to me.
That's what I love about some of these shows. Like we get caught up sometimes. It's all about the stories, but sometimes the stories are really important. And in a show where there is so much talent, the opportunity to tell these stories, I think, can be more important than the talent sometimes, because we know you're fantastically talented, and then you get up there and you get to be this face and you get to tell your own story. And I absolutely love that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm really grateful for this space to be able to tell my story. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, you got up there and you were ready this time. Well, you were ready before, but you were really ready this time. And you sung, and instead of no chairs, you turned four chairs. And you caused a fight, like our lovely queer friend Sean caused a fight as well.
Yes, I did.
So Jessica Mauboy decided that she wanted you, but Guy Sebastian, he was not going to have any of that.
Yeah, no, that it yeah, it made some people upset. Poor Jess, she wasn't happy. Even like the small part that they edited, you saw the look on her face. We got to see a whole lot more than on stage when it was happening in real time.
Instead of turning the chair, she was going to throw the chair.
Yeah, she was turning. Yeah, yeah, definitely, she was throwing the chair. And I love Jess. Like, actually, my fun fact, my first ever photo on Instagram, which is still up there, is of me and Jess. And I don't even know if she'd remember it. And I didn't even say it that night, but it was at a club on Oxford Street at Ginger's in Sydney, at a jam. And I got up and sang, and she like just said the most beautiful things to me about my voice and what I had just done on stage, and took a photo of me and like promoted me to her audience, saying, this chick's amazing. And I was just so floored. Like, she's got such a big heart and a really big reputation for being a sweetheart. So yeah, it would have been really fun to work with her, but I was also really grateful to work with Guy as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, to spill the tea, if Guy hadn't pressed the button, were you going to go on Team Jess?
Yeah.
Right, so she's on Team Second Choice.
They have been trying to get this out of me, honestly. Like, so many people ask me, and so many of my queens are actually friends with Jess. They and one of them was in the audience that night, actually two of them, and they didn't dress in drag. I almost convinced them to. But yeah, so they were like, would you have picked Jess? Like, of course, I would have loved to have been with Jess. And, without sounding overly diplomatic, like, I also would have loved to have been with Rita, who's a bisexual sister and, is incredible as well. So I believe that I would have been in good hands regardless, and I would have learned a lot from anybody.
Yeah, and I kind of like that about all of them. All the judges seem to be quite endearing, and they all seem to be, I suppose, less snarky than we might have seen in other seasons. So it seems like a really good mix, and you could have done well with anyone. And obviously, I mean, you've made a good choice in Team Guy, because not only did he take you through, he just decided to pop you through to his top 5 as well.
Yeah, that was, oh my God, I was so nervous. And I couldn't believe that I'd actually gotten through. They didn't show it in the edit, but I cried again. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting the reputation as a crier. I'm crying in like my interview and on stage, and like, you just need to calm down, Penelope.
Oh, it's a big thing. You went from sorry, we're not interested, to, by the way, you're in the top 20. So, that's cry-worthy material.
Yeah, fair enough.
And now the waiting game. So we know you're in the top 20, and we know that you filmed it, and we know that you can't say a damn thing, and we've got to sit back and wait to see the amazing performances you're gonna pull out next. And you exist in this weird world that we all do now, and particularly for performers and performers in Sydney, as you are, where you're sitting at home. How are you managing to keep your creative world alive when you're just sitting watching yourself on TV waiting to find out what happens?
Totally. I've picked up beading. So I didn't bead this. This is actually I wish I did. But I've got something else, like a cape from De Huber, that I've just started beading. So that's taking up a lot of time, because like one strip is like 9 hours. So that's fun. I love that kind of thing. But also I've got a song that's coming out in October once everything wraps up with The Voice. So that's keeping me really busy as well, and just looking forward to, you know, the next 6 months, year, like with everything I want to achieve, and I'm working towards. So I'm really grateful the position that I'm in. You know, I know there's a lot of people that aren't doing very well, and you know, the most that I can say is that I just have to be at home, and so I feel very lucky to be in the position I'm in.
Absolutely. It's just crazy times. But
Mm.
you know, it's great to see that, you know, people are still getting out there, and you know, you've got your music coming out, you've still got an outlet. Because yeah, so many people in the creative arts are just being squashed at the moment. Um, and you have your song coming
Yeah.
out, and you also have many other songs. I had a look through some of the Penelope Pettigrew YouTube hits. You do you like a little bit of your queer anthems and a bit of your queer love songs, if you will. Tell me about some of those ones and your love for the queer life in Sydney.
Thank you. How cheeky am I allowed to be?
You be cheeky as you like, darling. We can get away with anything
Okay.
here. It's just you and me.
Okay. Um, so yeah, well, the first song that I released is Electricity, and that was for my best friend Jake. And he had fallen in love with a straight guy, and so there was a whole thing
The
about that
story as
relationship,
old
because the
as
straight guy
time.
was oh, isn't it ever? Isn't it ever? And I'm always falling in love with gay men as well. So like it just goes both ways. Uh, so yeah, but he was questioning his sexuality, the straight guy with a girlfriend, and so that was a whole thing. So that song was written, I'm singing it, but it's from the perspective of Jake. So that was that one, and then the second one is Straight Until I'm Wet. And not a lot of people know that that's what the lyric is.
You filthy, filthy minx.
Oops. So I wrote that at an artist's camp, a songwriting camp, with two other incredible artists, and one of them is also bisexual. And so she actually was saying that whole weekend, she was like, I'm like a spaghetti noodle, I'm straight until I'm wet. And I pulled her aside and I said, sweetie, we have to write this song before this trip is up. And so the last night at like 2:30 in the morning, we're like laying down the vocals for this song. And then I released it in time for Mardi Gras. So it came out while we were filming, and yeah, that was just amazing. I premiered that at Universal, and that song is just about me coming into my sexuality, and the story of bisexuals is that, you know, you're told to pick, and you're invalidated a little bit, and the story of like the different genders of, you know, who experience bisexuality, it is all slightly different. So I can only speak on my behalf as a cisgendered woman. You know, the the bisexual experience is fetishized a little bit, you know, with threesomes and all that kind of stuff. And look, don't get me wrong, I enjoy my time, and that's what that song is about, actually. um but you know, like there's a time and a place, and you know, there's a way about those things, and not a lot of straight heterosexual, well, that's the same thing, not a lot of heterosexual men understand what their role is in that situation, is all I'll say. But yes. Am I going off on a tangent here?
No, no, not at all. Not at all. You've covered many bases there. It's great. And that's the important part of the conversation there is bisexual visibility. And I think that is so important. And I love that you just put that out there, because you're right. There is so much stigma around bisexuality. There is so many conversations. Bisexual people are told so many things. Bisexual people are raised so often as well. So you got to put that out there, and you're not just being like, you've written songs about it, and it is a platform that I love to hear you talking about. So tangent away.
Thank you so much. And I'm so the person that will just go in with all the detail and be like, oh, was that too much? Oh well, like I've already said it.
Cat's out of the
But
bag.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was just about being felt like feeling like I needed to pick, and you know, you people know you with men, and then they're like, oh, so you like women, so who are you going to pick? And they just don't quite understand, and that's totally fine. Like the way we learn is by asking and educating ourselves, and sometimes that's online with, you know, watching movies and documentaries and interviews and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes it's asking somebody, and I'm that person that is okay with people asking me and being really straight up, and if they're super rude, then I'll point it out, but usually it's not. They're just really curious, and they don't understand. But yeah, and the next song that I released was Hollywood, which I just dropped the other month, and that song is for our queer community. And it's, I just, the whole time I was writing it, I was thinking about, you know, partying at Universal with all of my queens, and queens and queers and theys and everyone. And our world is celebrated in the party scene. Like that's where we get ours, you know, there's so much fun, and we're all about the celebration. Everything's a party. The other thing with us queer people and is that so many of us have experienced a lot of trauma in our lives from, you know, suppressing who we are. And so there's a lot of demons that can follow us. And so when we come out and we come into our community, while we want to party and have fun and celebrate who we are, I believe there's also a side, not for everybody, but for some people, that, you know, we use the scene to numb and to suppress and to cover up, you know, the trauma that we've experienced through being shunned from society. And so you've got this double-edged sword, you know. So it's a little bit of it's like a fun, upbeat, like sassy club song, but then it's also got that darker side that's like teeters on the edge of, you know, it addresses addiction and you know, unraveling into the party world and not being able to get yourself out.
I love that. Yeah, that, and it is so very true. We were actually chatting to Jack Vidgen about a month or two ago, and he had similar sentiments to say about the party scene, and he was talking about his struggle with sobriety and all those sorts of things as well. And like it's a sentiment that it really is echoed amongst us. We do party, but sometimes that party and all the fun things that we can do is masking some of the things that we've been through. So I've had to listen to the song, and I do like Hollywood. So we'll make sure we maybe post a little link, and people can have a watch for themselves and a listen for themselves to your single Hollywood, which is on YouTube.
Thank you so much. Oh, and I've got
Cool.
the film clip up there is with all of my drag queens at Universal. So
Love that. Well, we do love some drag queens around here at Q News. I don't think a week goes by that we don't write about one of them. So
well, they're fabulous.
They are indeed. So we will definitely be posting that link up, and our viewers can have a look at your song Hollywood, and we'll be keeping around. Now, what did you say was the name of the upcoming single for us to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. Because it's called Fuck Boy.
I'm keen now. All right, I want to hear this. It's called Fuck Boy. Okay. The title sounds self-explanatory, but tell me.
Yeah, so it's about, I wonder, a relationship. It's about falling in love with your fuckboy and getting burnt by that. So, you know, I remember when I started seeing this guy, and I'd message my friends and I'd be like, you know, shit's getting serious with your fuckboy when you've got a spare phone charger at his house. And then it was just this series of like gradually like more and more serious things happening. And they're like, sweetie, you're dating. I'm like, I guess I am, really. And then, you know, we went down the threesome road and things got interesting. So I put that in there as well. So look, I've experienced things from the side of being single and in a relationship, and definitely, like, people, if you're going to do it, be single and have some fun, because then you don't have any strings attached. Okay.
I love that. What I love most about this is if you were to win The Voice and we have The Voice winner's debut single, Fuckboy, which is just worlds apart from Angels Brought Me Here and Listen to Your Heart back in the days of Idol. We go to Penelope Pettigrew with Fuckboy, winner of The Voice. That's got a nice
Please.
title to it.
Thank you. Could you imagine?
It would just be perfect. Such a change. I'm here for that. Love it all the way.
Australia needs the controversy. Like, fuck me dead. Come on.
Absolutely.
It's about time. Like,
break
Lizzo
it
and
down.
Gaga are out there living their best lives. Like, surely we can't be that far behind.
All the way. Hashtag Team Fuckboy.
Yay!
Well, we will be hashtag Team Penelope Pettigrew, hashtag Team Fuckboy, hashtag Team Guy, and also Team Sean Marley Moore and Team Jess as well. So, a bit of everybody, but we'll be following you all the way, and all the very short way. I think we've only got a couple of weeks left before we find out what happens, but we'll be watching to see what you do and how well you go. But as always with these shows, it's not about how far you go, it's what you do with it, and it's about the dedication you have to what you do. And you obviously, as very passionate, you have got so much more to come and so much more to show us. We can't wait to see that. So thank you so much, Penelope.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
The pleasure has been all ours. So remember, you can go and follow Penelope Pettigrew on all of her social medias. She's on Instagram, where you can go and find her. And also make sure you search her on YouTube as well. We will have more fantastic video interviews coming up in the future. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel using all the buttons and the things down the bottom there. And be sure to follow us on all of our socials at Twitter, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us for another video interview with Q News. My name is Michael James, and I'll see you next time.